Hey guys, last month you voted on which book you wanted me to read and review in the first stack of 5, and the winner was Eve and Adam by Katherine Applegate and Michael Grant. Your wish is my command. The full synopsis as well as links to the book are in the info box. So if you watched my October Rewind video, you'll know that I gave this an... It wasn't positive, it wasn't negative, it's really on the fence. And here's why. I'm going to start with the positive. It is a very quick read. It is very engaging. I pretty much read it in 2 sittings, and it would have read it in 1 except for I started it in the middle of the night. It's very readable, so despite its flaws, it's not necessarily a waste of your time because it's not going to take much time. But flawed it is. I did like Evie, Evening, Evie, whatever you want to call her, the main character. I liked her. I had issues with her. I really wish she would have been more probing. I wish she would have been more questioning, but she was a good main character, you know. Fine, I guess. The thing I liked most was the premise. I thought it had a really great premise. Scientifically, I think it's intriguing. It had a lot of potential, has a lot of potential for the series. I'm curious to see where it goes, maybe not necessarily eager, but curious. And it definitely did have its moments of humor. I gather that it's supposed to be fairly funny, which, like Bumped by Megan McCafferty, just kind of doesn't really work, you know? You can't take something super serious and important and with big ramifications and then try to make it slapstick, because it just tends to come off really mixed, sometimes funny and sometimes really flat, just crickets. None of those positives really outweigh my negatives. There are 3 characters that narrate in this book: Eve, Adam, and Solo, and they all sounded pretty much the same. And for that matter, it's 2 people writing the book, Katherine Applegate and Michael Grant, and they sounded the same. But it is very one note for 3 different voices and 3 very, very different characters. You've got someone real world, not knowing any of this sciencey stuff that's going on, and is a girl. Then you've got a guy who has grown up pretty much isolated in this scientific community, and then you've got another guy who has just been created. They should all sound very different, if you ask me. They should have very unique points of view, very unique voices, and unfortunately they don't. If it weren't for chapter headings that tell you who's narrating, there are times that I wouldn't know until pronouns were used. The voice was just completely off, which also meant that the tone was completely off. Not just in the weird humor and in the wrong voices, but there was also this really, really strange over-sexualization. Setting aside Evening's best friend, who is pretty clearly there to make Evening look better. Setting aside her weird sexuality, which is always just like kind of intrusive, really weird sexual humor and sexual intent would be imposed on a scene where it was completely out of place. So in the beginning, the book starts with Eve in a car accident and her leg has just been knocked off, and we don't really ever get to know specifics of this car accident, or how her leg gets knocked off and she doesn't just like die of shock on the scene. Whatever, we'll just set that aside. So she's like messed up, this girl is jacked up, and Solo's being like leery and creepy and, you know, I like this girl, she's hot. Fine, I guess, if that's what you're into. But that continues throughout the book, so you'll have this really potentially tense moment, something serious is going on, and someone starts flirting or someone starts like sizing up the other character and like imagining them sexually, and it just doesn't work because it comes in like, where are your priorities? Shit is going down, people are potentially dying, or evil scientists are maybe taking over the world, people have died, people are being shot, whatever, and instead you are thinking about what someone looks like naked, or wanting to kiss someone, or feeling all tingly butterfly-y, even though you're maybe about to die. Like, it doesn't make sense, and it completely robs the tense moments of their tension. Case in point, There is a scene near the end where everything should be at its highest tension. It should be really strong and everything should be really tenuous and serious and everyone should be focused. Eve is pretty much being held hostage by these guys whose lives and work is on the line and who should themselves be really serious and really angry, mean, evil guys. And instead, they're talking about Eve's hot body and how they'd do her. Out of nowhere. Comes out of nowhere. And then the female scientist has to lecture them on sexism. And it's like, am I reading the same scene that these characters are in? It was just weird, and it threw off the tone further. For all the times that I laughed and thought, huh, that's kind of funny, there were other times where I was like, why? Why? And speaking of not having priorities, I really wasn't sure about the motivations for a lot of the characters. Solo is this very angry, very driven guy, and yeah, he does have a reason, I suppose, but it feels very thin as a motivation for all of the things that he does and for as burning as his hatred is. It's not that I don't think that it could have been there, and it's not that I don't think that he has reasons and that he's observed everything and he has these issues that he wants to tackle, but it's that the reader isn't really given those. It just was lacking, and so it kind of made him seem off. Eve just kind of seems to take everything at face value and switches whenever a new face value is shown. She doesn't question anything. She's in the middle of this craziness and things just kind of happen to her. And none of it ever really seems to surprise her. Not even that it doesn't surprise her. It doesn't make her consider or reconsider. It's just, this is where we're at now. This is what it is. And that, again, robs the tension of the story. And I think this is a book that really hinges on the tension. So, in the end, it left me feeling kind of meh. It's funny sometimes, and it's quick, it's definitely readable, but I saw so much potential or places in it for potential to grow into something that I would want to push on people, and I'm not left wanting to push it on people. I don't regret having read it. I don't regret that you guys picked it for me. I will likely read the second book and see where it's going, but I hope they make it meatier. This was a little throwaway. There you have it. That's what I thought of Eve and Adam by Katherine Applegate and Michael Grant. You still have a little bit of time to vote on my next Stack of 5 book. The voting ends the 7th. You can vote here. If you've read Eve and Adam, let me know what you thought in the comments, if you agree or disagree, or what you think of my points in general. If you want to read Eve and Adam, there are links in the info bar. But that's all from me for right now. As always, happy reading!